All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be situated on planet Earth. It is 8:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Bayshore, New York, where I, your humble narrator, reside, about 50 miles east of Manhattan. And this is another episode of Dorsch Chat, my first one for the new year 2026. January was just really hectic with work and stuff, but glad to drop this first episode of the new year. And I am super psyched for this one. I've wanted to have this guy on for a while, ever since I was introduced to him last year. Got to meet him in LA last October, but we'll get into that. Um, if I could trade lives with someone, it'd probably be this guy because of all the things he gets to do in his travels pertaining to our favorite band. I'm envious of him. I'm jealous, but we're going to get into all that. My guest tonight is Ross Seaford. Ross, how's it going, buddy?
Good. How you doing, Michael?
Um, Good. Just happy to finally drop a new episode. I wanted to get one in earlier this year. Just things have been crazy. So I've been looking at stuff you've been posting online. I know you got the YouTube channel and all, and there's a lot to talk about. But I want to start first with um the young Ross growing up before he came Ross Seifert, the man, the myth, the legend. Um, so, Ross, in the beginning, before you knew who Robbie Krieger, Ray Manzarek, John Densmore, and Jim Morrison were, where were you born? Where did that great life of yours start?
I was born in Hudson, Wisconsin,
Hmm.
January 11th, 1980, and from the very beginning, I was into music. It wasn't the Doors right away. It was Thriller in 82, 83.
Ah,
And then it was Van Halen 84
yes.
with the Wings and the Cigarettes. And then, even a little bit after that, it just continued to evolve from there. So, born and raised Hudson, Wisconsin, and I'm still living in Hudson, Wisconsin.
Wow, so you've never lived anywhere else?
I did live in River Falls, Wisconsin for a period of time because I did go to college there. But River Falls, Wisconsin is literally 10 minutes from Hudson, Wisconsin. So I didn't go too far, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so we're similar in that way, though we've both traveled a bit. I haven't traveled as much as you, but I've lived in New York my whole life, just one state. That's that's cool. So tell us about your family growing up. Any siblings?
Yeah, I do have a sister. She's gonna actually be turning 50 years old in November this year. She lives about an hour and a half away from where we're at.
Okay.
Mother is living about 45 minutes away, and sadly, my father passed about 2 years ago.
Oh,
But they always encourage the music side of things. They bought me my first guitar. I think it
wow.
was the Christmas of 1987
Hmm.
because I had seen the movie La Bamba earlier that year. And I was obsessed with Richie Valens, and I got a guitar. Like I said, I was musical from a very young age, but it wasn't until a little bit later when I got into the Doors.
Yeah, so some of our tastes were similar. I'm thinking back to the 80s when I was in high school, that era, like Zeppelin had just ended, and then you had some of these new bands like the Police coming in. Van Halen started like late 70s, and
Yeah.
then U2, they were kind of fill in the void after the mighty Zeppelin fell. But yeah, that's when I got into it. Unlike you, I did not really play an instrument. I tried guitar. I sucked at it. It's the truth. Tried. Now, I was in a band briefly. Then what happened was I wrote some lyrics for them in high school, but then they got a guy who could sing. I said, fine, you could use my lyrics and all. I mean, I didn't have any talent for an instrument, but that's cool though. And so as you went on in school, um, did you ever realize that your passion for the music would reach such lofty and exalted heights like it has now?
No, because initially, when I got a guitar for the first time in '87, I was 7 years old. You know, didn't really play it for very long, moved on. I got into playing sports a lot more growing up, and the music kind of, got put on the back burner a little bit. Once I get into middle school, junior high, I started playing in the school band. I played the baritone. So
Oh,
once again, continuing on, you know, learning music, different instruments. And but it wasn't until much later when I was 37 years old, I real no, 27, got another guitar, and then I started taking it seriously. And the way that I learned was through guitar tabs.
I see.
And, basically, with the guitar tabs, it shows you six lines representing the six strings of the guitar, and then it tells you a number of, what fret to put your finger on, and you just listen to a small little piece of the song, you learn that little piece, learn another little piece, and then you put it all together, and you just do all the little pieces of the song, put it together, and I got to the point where I could play 40 or 50 cover songs because that's kind of what I wanted to do as a part-time job.
Okay.
Because what I did growing up, went to school, got good grades. I did go to college, like I may have mentioned, UW River Falls
Yeah.
in Wisconsin, and I became a personal trainer, and that was kind of the main thing that I did for a long time.
Okay.
Um, but when I was doing the personal training, I wasn't able to go to these concerts and travel, like I really wanted to until I got a little bit older and maybe a little bit wiser.
Mhm. Yeah, like I hadn't asked you up to now, but I remember when I first set eyes on you, you were walking up with your friend to the hotel I was staying at in LA before the show at the Greek Theater, which we're going to get into, of course. I said, oh, this guy's got to be a bodybuilder, with that sort of feel. I mean, it was obvious. You got the makeup for it.
Yeah, yeah, and it just wasn't just the personal training, but I had,
Yeah.
played football,
Oh,
all through high school. I played a couple years in college, but I even went on to play 14 seasons of semi-pro football,
whoa.
trying to get to that next level, whether it was arena football, Canadian football, European football when they had that back in the day, because there was a lot of guys that would kind of use that as a stepping stone
Yep.
to get to the next level. So, I had the music, but I also continued on with the sports and then officially retired from, playing full contact football when I was 37 years old in 2017.
Wow. So now, when you were playing football, what position did you usually play?
I was middle linebacker,
I could see that.
but growing up, I played soccer so I could kick a ball. So I was even the punter, kickoff, kick field goals. I took care of all of that too. So a little bit here and a little bit there. But once football got done, because I started playing football in 1989 when I was 9 years old. So from 1989 to
Yeah.
2017, that was kind of my main focus was playing football, trying to get to that next level. But then when football got done, it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? What's kind of the next step? And that's kind of when I got back into going to a lot more concerts. And then as soon as that 60th anniversary kicked off last year, that's when the rocket ship took off, and I just couldn't get enough.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely gonna touch upon that. 2025 was a magical doors year for so many reasons. Before we leave the the football part of your saga, did you only play football in the US or did you travel abroad?
No, it was just in the U.S. Uh, the highlight I would say of the football career was 2012, 2013. We had won our league
Oh,
championship 2 years in a row.
wow.
We actually went to Daytona Beach, Florida, for the semi-pro national championship game.
Ah.
And sadly, we came up 1 point short of a victory
Hmm.
on that one. We lost 14 to 13, but it was still quite the experience, but a little salty. It would have been nice to come out with a victory, but you can't win them all.
So with while you were playing football those years, I mean, was that enough to make a living on, or did you have to do something on the side?
No, I was still doing personal training,
Okay.
all through the football career. Um, And that's what made it easy to train. It's because like I was already at the gym, and if I didn't happen to have any personal training clients, or maybe it was my lunch break or a dinner break, if I happened to be working a little bit late, it's like
Yeah.
I just go work out. So during that time period, from the years of probably 32 years old until 35, those were the best 4 seasons of my entire career because I was in the gym and I was training and I was preparing myself. And the workouts that I was doing were just absolutely insane. Looking back on some of these videos that I still have,
Yeah.
on Facebook, but your body can only take so much, and
Right.
I had to put football behind me, and you know, kind of the same thing with mosh pits. That had to put those behind me too because you go through one song now if you're in the mosh pit getting knocked around or whatever, it's like you're huffing and puffing. It's like, oh, I'm too old for this. So
Yeah.
we had to settle things down a little bit and just remember that life is a marathon, not a sprint.
It is indeed. And then just the last football question. Over those years you were playing, were you able to stay relatively healthy, or did you ever suffer any like serious injuries?
No, due basically to my preparation in the gym. It's not just bigger, stronger, and faster, but it's injury prevention, doing
Good.
things that will strengthen your body,
Yeah.
also strengthening your mind as well. But it was in 2007, I had a partial tear of a ligament in my knee. I was out for 6 weeks,
Wow.
but then I came back and played the last 2 seasons of, or two games of that season. So knock on wood,
Yeah.
thankfully nothing serious. And that's what I had always told myself. It's just like, yes, I want to play as long as I physically can play, but I also don't want to end my career
Yeah.
on a serious injury because I did have friends and teammates that, would rupture their Achilles tendon or, blow out their ACL. And, that's surgery, that's rehab, that's a lot of time to,
Right.
get back to just going through your normal daily activities without
Oh,
pain and discomfort. And it's like, I didn't want to do that once I retired from football, I still wanted to be physically active, go to concerts, be, doing the things that I wanted to do without limping around, without having pain in the knee. It's just like there came a time where it's like, okay, well, I'm getting older. I need to put football behind me and I need to move on to more fun and exciting things that don't make my body hurt for days at a time.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it could be demanding. I mean, I read stories over the years with some football players, they're so eager to be competitive and stay at a high level that they'll do, steroids and stuff. And when you were doing personal training, I'm sure you told your clients, safe, healthy ways to stay fit, correct?
Oh, absolutely. It's all about nutrition because,
Yeah,
you could do your strength training, you could do your cardio, but, if your nutrition isn't on the right track, either
yeah.
you're not going to see results or it's going to take you a lot longer to see results. So, I was always, trying to focus a lot more on nutrition for people. Chicken, turkey, fish, fruits and veggies, keep the fat to a minimum, keep the bad carbs to a minimum, avoid deep fried foods, avoid fast food restaurants. It's, and as far as supplements, I never really got into, you know, taking a whole lot, maybe creatine, because it helps to maximize muscle growth and strength. And that was something I needed for football. And
Okay.
now it's just like I have protein shakes 2 or 3 times a day, but
Okay.
there's so many different things. And it's just like I nutrition wasn't really my specialty area, so I'm not super educated about that, and I'm not gonna recommend something to someone when I don't really know what it is, what it does. It's just like just eat right.
Okay.
Burn more calories than you take in, and you'll be fine.
I'm just curious before we segue from football. I don't you saw any of the Broncos Patriots AFC championship when the conditions just got crazy in the second half. Did you ever
Yes.
have did you ever have to play in conditions comparable to that?
I remember. I think it was at the University of Wisconsin River Falls. I think it was the year 2000. So 26 years ago this fall.
Yeah,
We were playing into October, maybe even the first week or two of November.
yeah.
And living in Wisconsin, I've seen snow as early as September 15th.
Wow.
Measurable snow is common in October. But I remember playing 20, 30 degrees Fahrenheit, snow. We cut off the sleeves on our shirts,
Yeah.
put the sleeve over the top of our head, and even pull it down over the top of our ears. Because when you have the football helmet on, you have the ear holes there, and you're going to have cold air, whistling through your helmet. And, that shirt sleeve would cover up your ear holes and help keep you warm.
Oh, wow. Never heard that before. That's fascinating.
You learn some things over here in Wisconsin dealing with well, just a couple weeks ago we had negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit
Oh,
with negative 50 degrees wind chill, and it's just like
wow.
it is literally dangerous to go outside
Yeah.
because you can get frostbite in a matter of 5 minutes with exposed skin. So if you go outside, it's like you have to cover up, otherwise it's just not bearable.
Oh no, you can. There were some fans who went to a Chiefs playoff game. I think it was 2 years ago. They got frostbites and had to have like, fingers amputated. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
serious. So after your glorious football career now, like I know you're married, talk about your family a little bit. Did you meet your wife while you were playing football or was this afterwards?
Well, my current wife, Heather,
Yeah.
was a personal training client
Ah,
when I was working at Anytime Fitness. No, I was at LA Fitness in Oakdale, Minnesota at the time. And one thing led to the next. And my personal training client became my girlfriend, and then fiance, wife, and then we have a 7-year-old daughter together as well. But going back even before my current wife, Heather, um, my first wife, who I call my starter wife. Everyone needs a starter wife, learn what to do, more importantly, learn what not to do. Well, I met my first wife on spring break in Panama City Beach, Florida,
Hmm.
2002. We dated long distance for a little bit. One thing led to the next. We got married. Oh, geez, what was that? 2007, 2008, something like that. We had a son, Andrew, born February 2nd, 2011. So
Okay.
tomorrow's his birthday. He'll be
Oh,
15.
wow.
15 years old tomorrow. We went out to Texas Roadhouse for birthday lunch earlier today.
There
So
you go.
he's musical as well. He's in the marching band.
Cool.
John Densmore started the marching band. We'll get into that a little bit later, but the kids are even musical. Like I said, Andrew, marching band. He plays in the pep band at basketball games, hockey
Cool.
games. Our daughter Elise loves to sing and dance, and we're always playing music around here. We don't watch normal TV. We
Better off.
watch YouTube videos of concerts that either we've been to, that we're gonna go to, whatever. It's just like it's just music around here. It just puts out a good vibe.
So I have to ask with my previous guests, I think we were 0 for 7. I asked every one of them, they all had at least one son or daughter. Are your children into the doors? And they all said no.
Well, over the past 12 months, I'd say
Yeah.
there's been a lot of doors in this house because of the 60th anniversary
Yeah.
celebration. So they like the doors, but they have heard they've reached their limit at this point. They need a break from the doors because things got a little crazy in a good way last year, but it was doors, 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 nonstop in this,
Yeah.
as much as possible. So they
Yeah.
like the music. They could name everyone in the band, but yeah, they're ready for a break.
Yeah, I mean, the thought had to enter their minds, geez, dad's going to LA every other week to search out every door site known to man and where they played and all. So there's got to be something to them. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I even brought my son when we went to LA for Oasis at the Rose Bowl,
oh,
September 6th and 7th.
cool.
There was another location I had discovered that we had to go visit. So, I brought my son Andrew along on that journey with documenting these doors locations because it's just like
Yeah.
so many of them have been torn down. So I want to visit. I want to go there before they're gone.
Yeah, and that's an excellent segue into that. I mean, even without your doors travels, it's already a fascinating episode. But clearly, 2025 was a pivotal year in your life. Like I was looking at your stuff online and your YouTube channel. I watched your one video earlier today when you went into where the London Fog used to be and you got a little trim there. That was cool. I've stood outside it, that and the whiskey. I've stood outside them, but I've never been inside them. I'm gonna get inside the whiskey before I die. I gotta do it. But so I gotta ask, um, first of all, so at the beginning, about a year ago, January, whatever, February 2025, was this all spontaneous, all these trips to LA, or did you really plan this out meticulously?
It was spontaneous and it was
Yeah.
brought on. Uh, it was right end of October, early November of 2024. So
Okay.
just before, and they had already been talking about 60th anniversary stuff,
Yeah.
even, October, November of 2024. Um, but I was out in West Hollywood, October 2024 for David Gilmour, guitar player of Pink Floyd,
Yeah.
played at
Wow.
the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh,
So I saw David Gilmour at the Hollywood Bowl. I believe I went to the October 30th show because I think he played 29, 30, and 31. So I was out there for that show, but I had also gone to the Sunset Strip, walking around. Obviously, everyone knows the whiskey.
yeah.
And then my buddy Chris and we walked from the whiskey to the Rainbow. And then, not really thinking much of, where we're walking or what's around us. It wasn't until I had gotten back home after that trip, early November, that I realized that we had literally walked right past the where the London fog was
Right.
and didn't even know it, didn't even recognize it, didn't even acknowledge it. So that's what really sparked my interest in these locations.
Okay.
So I started making a list, and it was probably in November of 2024, leading into December, and then the 60th anniversary of 2025.
Yeah.
I just started making a list. We all know the well-known ones like the whiskey, Barney's Beanery.
Yep.
But I started doing a little bit more searching and read Robbie's book, John's book, Ray's book. There was an app that I discovered. I believe it's right through the Doors page on Facebook. It's the Doors.ai,
Right.
I believe.
Yes.
And there's a section on that app that has locations as well. So just started making all of these locations, making a list. And then every time, I was reading one of their books and they would mention a location, I would either write it down or I would take a picture of that page, add it to the list. And for a lot of these places, when I was searching for them, I had to type into Google where was, the Sea Witch or where was
Right.
Beetolitos,
Right.
because a lot of these places don't even exist anymore. Obviously the whiskey is still there, Barney's Beanery is still there. A lot of some of the buildings are still standing, but they're just not what they were back then.
Right.
And this was all leading up to the 60th anniversary shows that Robbie was doing at the whiskey.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly when those were announced or when the tickets went on sale, but I saw he was doing five of them, at the whiskey, and he hadn't listed anything for Morrison Hotel. And I was always wondering, well, why isn't he doing Morrison Hotel? Well, we can get into that in a little bit. But out of those five shows that he announced that he was going to be doing at the whiskey, starting in March, was the debut album. April was LA Woman. So I decided that I wanted to go to the LA Woman show. So as soon as those tickets went on sale, could have been January, could have been February, is my best guess. I bought one right away.
Sure.
And so knowing that I was going to be there, I continued to make my list. I'm like, okay, well, when I go to Hollywood, West Hollywood for the LA Woman show that Robbie Krieger was doing at the Whiskey, April 26th, was that show. I made the list, but it wasn't just making the list, but I knew I had to be efficient with my time.
Yeah.
So I took these locations and I went over to Google Maps and I arranged them strategically. So, at one point I'm going east down Sunset Boulevard, and I'm knocking off, Sunset Sound Recording Studios and everything that's on Sunset Boulevard heading east. Then I go north up to Hollywood Boulevard and start heading west down
Okay.
Hollywood Boulevard and then down Sunset Strip. So, by the time April rolled around, I had a list of 96 locations.
Wow.
And I believe three of them were downtown Los Angeles. And I was told, do not go downtown Los Angeles, not even during the daytime,
Yeah, there was some.
because Morrison Hotel is down there. The old Hard Rock Cafe was down there.
Yeah.
So kind of had to leave those out. And we focused on Hollywood, West Hollywood, and then we even went out to Santa Monica, Venice, and Marina del Rey. And from the time we flew in, from the time we flew out, we physically visited 92 locations.
Well, it's a lot of coordination. See, when my girlfriend and I were there in October for the Greek theater show, which we'll get into, our big handicap was that we literally had less than 24 hours because we got in the night before. By the time we got to our hotel, it was what was it, 9:30 p.m. And then we had to leave 5:30 p.m. the next day because I had to get to the Greek early, to meet with
Yep.
Rob, the manager, and the meeting green. All. We had 20 and a half hours to do everything, and it just wasn't possible. All we were
No.
able to do was go to the Walk of Fame. We did one of the bus tours. Went down the Sunset Strip, of course. There wasn't enough time, but I think to do it properly, you need a few days. Obviously, if you have wheels, it would help. I mean, I walk a lot. I'm in good shape, but you can only walk so far. It's a matter of coordinating it. I would imagine you want to try to get a hotel that's not insanely priced, but is kind of close to the places you want to go. It must have taken a lot of planning.
Oh, absolutely. And we knew that we were going to be staying at the Ramada on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood,
Okay.
because even just on that location alone, currently the Ramada, that used to be the Tropicana.
Oh,
And the Tropicana was a motel hotel that Jim stayed in, specifically August 18th, 1966. He missed the first set at the Whiskey,
yeah.
and the guys had to go find him. They
Yep.
found him in room 203 at the Tropicana, wearing only underwear and his boots. And he had taken a massive amount of his LSD. They got him back to the Whiskey for the second set, and that's when he inserted the Oedipal complex into the end for the very first time. So
Right.
that's the hotel we stayed in. Well, not the Tropicana because that got torn down. The Ramada was built on the exact same location. Another story about that location. Uh, when Grace Slick and Paul Kantner from the Jefferson Airplane were going back to their room at the Tropicana in 1967, Jim Morrison, naked, on all fours, barking like a dog, once again, had taken a bunch of LSD and was howling at the moon. And so that's where we stayed. And that's where we kind of started the journey to some extent, because I did put all of these locations together on a video.
Right.
Part one is Hollywood, West Hollywood. There's 61 locations, and then another 36 were Santa Monica, Venice, and Marina del Rey. But once we actually flew into Los Angeles, it was April 25th,
Yeah.
2025. And for the hardcore Doors fans, know that April 25th is the day that Pamela Corson overdosed on heroin back
Yeah.
in 1974.
Yes.
So we flew into Los Angeles April 25th. Would have been the 51st anniversary of her passing. And that is the very first location we went to was at 108 North Sycamore, where she had passed away.
Oh,
And, and then from there we kind of zigzag. Like I said, I went to Google Maps. I arranged everything, and the way that we got around was on the scooters.
yeah. I remember you told me when I saw you. Yeah, I guess that's economical because yeah, my girlfriend and I, we really didn't have much time, and we didn't want to rent a car because she had recently had cataract surgery. Like her vision wasn't quite back to 100%. Especially she didn't want to drive in LA at night. But so with the scooters, is it like in New York, you just rent them, then they have the docking stations, you return them?
No, it's well, it's very similar. There's no docking station that you can have to return it to,
Yeah.
but there's different scooters. There's the Lime scooters. There was Spin, Neo, or something. In April, I ended up with like five different scooter apps on my phone.
Oh
But you
wow.
just install the app on your phone.
Hmm.
You connect a debit card or a credit card to that.
Okay.
And then you find a scooter, you scan the QR code, and you take off. So basically, what we were doing for those 92 locations that we visited in April,
Yeah.
we would hop on a scooter, go to a location. I would record a short video, talk about the connection to the Doors, the significance of that location,
Right.
whether it was specific to one of the members of the Doors, or if it was just more of a general location, like Sunset Sound Recording Studios,
Yes.
where they recorded their first two albums. But then there were some locations that we visited that were, oh, that's a Jim Morrison location, or we went to Robbie and John's house when they lived up on Lookout Mountain Avenue. And
Oh,
when Jim walked up the hill to Inspirational View and wrote People Are Strange.
cool.
You know, we went to all of those spots, and it was because of the scooters that we were able to get to so many in April. But then as soon as I got home, I'm doing more reading and watching videos. And it's like, oh, I find another location. It's like, well, how did we miss that one? So then I did another one in September. And then I found some more, and then I did four more in October, when we were there for the Greek. So
Yeah.
in April, the list was at 97, and now I think it's 101. If I add the Bronson Caves onto that, which we didn't go to yet,
Oh,
I'm still continuing to grow the list. And oh, I found out recently, I knew about the Continental Hyatt House, otherwise known as the Riot
right.
House
Yeah.
on Sunset Boulevard, right next to what is currently the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
But Jim had gotten kicked out of the Continental Hyatt House in 1970 because he was hanging off the 10th story balcony by his
Oh,
fingertips.
yeah.
And he would tend to stay in room 1012 up on the 10th floor. And I think it was just yesterday that I learned he had a specific room because I knew
That's
about,
cool.
room 32 at Alta Cienega, room
Exactly. Yeah.
203 at the Tropicana, but I just learned about room 1012 at what is now the Andaz West Hollywood, and they even have a plaque outside of 1012, calling that the Jim Morrison suite. So that is the next thing on my list is
Okay.
staying in that room. So
Yeah.
keep an eye out for that video.
That's cool to know the room number. Like you said, everyone thinks of the Alta Cienega. Yeah, we only had time that day before the Greek Theater for a bus tour, and obviously we saw the Hyatt House near the whiskey and all that, but we didn't have time to stop in. You need a few days for that. But now I'm curious, when you're looking at some of these sites, did you ever have trouble finding a certain building? Because maybe after 60 years, the address numbers have changed. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm here in New York. I used to live in Long Beach, New York, and down the road, like in it's called like Lido Beach Island Park, is there's now a shopping center there, but it's where the Action House was, where the Doors played a very almost played an early show. I don't know if you remember the story. Jim did a number of shots before the one show he couldn't even perform, and I was trying to find it because we were going to eat near there. I'm trying to find it, but it was just a big shopping center, and all the numbers were different. I even asked a few people. So, were there any buildings in LA that they were just very hard to locate because the addresses changed?
Yeah, yeah, there was quite a few because the trend, so to say, is to tear down these historic buildings and build apartments, condos, parking ramps, parking lots, rather than preserving the history. They tear it down and cover it up.
Yeah,
One location that pops into my head where there's a little bit of a dispute on the exact location, out in Santa Monica, kind of borderline with Venice, is the site of the Soul Kitchen, which is
right.
Olivia's
Yeah,
Soul Kitchen on Main Street.
yeah,
And because I had seen people talking about, that with the odd and the even, that the numbers had flipped sides of the street.
yes,
Um, but it's just trying to find the old photos, matching it up, and just searching for clues in the photo because most things are gone, but if you can find one building or even a tree that you can line up or a bridge or something. um but yeah, a lot of the things that were in that area late 60s, early 70s
yeah,
are not there anymore. And even recently, the Tail of the Pup, the Doors Workshop,
right.
literally right next to it. Well, back in late 60s, early 70s, it was actually the Topless Extension. It was a strip club that Jim went to, 8500 Santa Monica Boulevard, literally right next to the Doors Workshop.
Oh,
But the extension is long gone, but they've been building what appears to be another apartment building. When I was out there just in December, they're about 4 stories high with it right now, and it is literally towering over the Doors Workshop, which is currently Tail of the Pup. But it just kind of makes me think, is like, oh, is that going to be the next thing that's going to get torn down? They've been talking about tearing down the Viper Room, that entire block, for a decade now. So it's
wow.
just like, it's tough to find these things because, a lot of them 55, 60 years later, it's difficult, but when you do come across the locations that are still there, you know, even if it's not still the same, like we talked about a little bit ago, the London Fog.
Yeah,
Obviously it's not the London Fog anymore. That closed. Well, I think the Doors' last performance was May 7th of 1966, and then the London Fog closed shortly after that because of financial issues.
Yes.
But the building is still there. It's a barber shop right now, and that's actually the last place I got my hair cut. It's like the last place I got
Yes.
my hair cut was at the London Fog.
I'm,
It's
I'm
called
just,
it's called Shadow's Barber Shop right now, but I'm
yeah,
like you said, it's like you've been outside the London Fog, you've been outside the whiskey. I'm like, okay, well, I think the best way to actually get inside this building is I'm just gonna schedule to get my hair cut and a beard
yeah.
trim.
Yeah,
So
I watched that today. That was really it was cool that he let you do that. And I saw as you were leaving, he had the LA Woman album. It looked like it was
yeah.
signed. That, that's cool that he let you do that. I'm curious in LA, did you try going to see the cemetery where Pam is?
No, that was a little bit further away. We never get a rental car, so it's usually either we're walking, we're taking a lift, because obviously from West Hollywood to Santa Monica, you have to take a lift. We did take the scooters as far as we could, but as soon as you hit Doheny, the scooters lose power, and then you have to bring it back. Basically, the corner of Santa Monica and Doheny is right where the Troubadour is.
Mhm.
Um, but uh, but yeah, we didn't get out there. So there, I do have a list of places that I want to go to,
Yeah, I was going to
but
ask
I need
that.
a I need a rental car to get there.
Yeah, it's a matter. Yeah, like I've already spoken to my girlfriend. Next time we're there, we're going to make sure we have a few days and make sure we have wheels. Definitely got to coordinate it.
So that's
Um,
Santa Ana, right?
uh, where she is, I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, because I think I watched a video recently on YouTube on where she is, and the guy kept calling it a mausoleum, but but yeah, they were showing where she's at. So yeah, that's definitely on the list. Bronson Caves are on the list. That's a little bit. It's not too far off of Hollywood Boulevard, but you definitely need a car to get up there, and a few other locations.
I just
Another
was.
Doors fan out in Colorado keeps sending me locations. He's like, "Have you been here yet? Have you been here yet? Have you been here yet?" And most of them I have, but every once in a while, it's just like he'll send me a new one. It's just like add it to the list because I'm gonna keep going. Um, because I am still continuing to organize all of these. Like I said, I did create the videos. Like I said, I did the part one and part two,
But
but I also uploaded each video individually because part one with 61 locations, it's like 2.5 hours long. Part two is an hour and a half long. So most people aren't going to sit down and watch it for 2.5 hours or an hour and a half, but each location individually, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes. I think I spent a little bit more time at the Canyon Country Store because
okay.
that's right next to the Love Street House on Rothdale Trail. So
Yeah.
that one was a little bit longer, but we had to take a lift up because that was up Laurel Canyon from Sunset Boulevard. And then we met a couple other Doors fans while we were at the Canyon Country Store, and they did happen to have a rental car. And we asked them if we could tag along. We went to the Wonderland house, not where the murders occurred, but where Danny Sugarman and Ray Manzarek had bought a house
Oh,
mainly for, rehearsing. Iggy Pop was actually there as
yeah,
well
yeah.
because right around 1974, Ray was looking to have Iggy Pop be the singer for
Right.
his next project.
Oh, you tracked that down. That house. That's
Yep. So we found the Wonderland house. Thankful to these guys.
wow.
Michael from the UK, he's also a locations guy.
Yeah.
A couple more up there in the hills. Oh, yeah, the other two, like I had mentioned earlier, John and Robbie's house on Lookout Mountain Avenue. Jim stayed there quite a bit as well. Jim hung off the balcony by his fingertips, which he was known to do. And then the day he was sad and depressed and feeling alienated, walked up to Inspirational View and wrote the lyrics for People Are Strange, came back to the Lookout Mountain Avenue house, and they put it all together. So
Yeah,
those
well,
were the locations that, thankfully, because of these guys that we met at the Canaan Country
yeah,
Store, that we were able to get up into the Hollywood Hills a little bit more and
yeah.
find those locations. Oh, Topanga Canyon, that's another one
Oh,
where the Roadhouse used to be.
oh,
But that's another used to be location
yeah,
because it got torn down. But keep your eyes on the road, your hands upon the wheel, because going up in Topanga Canyon, that road is windy and bendy, and
yeah.
that's another location. Like I said, the list is always growing. Um, and recently I started, and this was kind of letting the cat out of the bag, maybe a little bit early. I'm organizing these locations into a book
Whoa, why not?
for anyone traveling to Los Angeles, specifically Doors fans
Yeah.
that want a guide to over 100 locations in the Los Angeles area. Boom, here's your book.
No, and that's a
Look,
great idea because, for example, there's a Paris guide for the doors, which I'm definitely going to make use of when I'm there in July. No, that would be superb for fans who want to go to LA in the future. They might have a limited amount of time to have a concrete reference guide, to have these addresses, how many square miles they have to cover and plan it out. I think there's a need for that. That would be really cool. And and this is probably looking way down the road. Any chance once you've conquered LA and most of those sites, you're gonna try Paris?
oh, absolutely. I know you're booked to go there in July,
Oh, I'm
and that's
psyched.
the 55-year anniversary.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's definitely on the list. I think in that Doors AI app, I think there's 5 locations in Paris.
yeah,
Obviously, Pierre Lachaise, or however you pronounce that, cemetery is on there. 17 Rue Beautreilly is on there.
yep,
Um, Henry George the Fifth Hotel or something where they so that yeah, there's some on there. There's New York. There's some out there as well with and that's probably a lot of where it used to be. It's like, oh, the Ondine.
yeah. Steve
Um,
Paul's scene. There's a few of them. Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
true.
Oh yeah, and that's kind of what I see from other YouTubers that have maybe been doing it for longer than I have. It's just like a lot of them will do movies, or this is where the person died, this is where they're buried. My interest, obviously, Doors is kind of my specialty area, but
Yeah,
rock and roll history in general, because when I was out there, I also went to the Motley Crue apartment, the Guns N' Roses apartment on Clark
yeah,
Street,
sure.
which is right up from the whiskey. I went to the apartment where Lemmy from Motorhead lived,
Wow.
which is different from the apartment that he died in. Um, so Ozzy Osbourne's house, where they recorded 4 seasons of the Osbournes, I went to that
Wow.
mansion out on Doheny. So it's not just Doors; it's all these other locations. Uh, Motley Crue, where they recorded "Girls, Girls, Girls" at the Seventh Veil Strip Club on Sunset Boulevard,
Wow.
the Guns N' Roses Hell House. So I'm doing a lot of other locations,
Okay.
because eventually I'm gonna run out of Doors locations, right?
Yeah, no, and if you ever make it to this neck of the woods, New York, on like a 1 hour train ride from Manhattan, like you said, you can look up like for example on Dean's, of course, Sniffin Court, where they did the Strange Days photo shoot, and of course, like Washington Square Park, where they did Murray the K. Like I've been on that exact site where they did the people are strange, Jim singing live, and the rest are just kind of standing there watching them. So there's a couple, not as many as in L.A. obviously, but there are some in New York. So of the shows you went to last year in L.A., which one would you say was the best?
Oh, geez. Well, and we're gonna keep it specific to the Doors related shows because
Yeah,
I mentioned I did go to Oasis last year at the Rose
yeah,
Bowl.
yeah.
Went to System of a Down and Avenged Sevenfold at Soldier Field in Chicago. So we hit some
Wow.
good ones last year, but as far as the Robbie Krieger shows,
Yeah,
like I mentioned, I went to the LA Woman show April 26th of 2025. I think I got there 4 hours, 4.5 hours before they let people in because I'm a front rail or bus kind of guy. I want
sure.
to get as close as I possibly can. Um, and I did. I was right there in the front. And I was there pretty much all day waiting to get in. So before that show, they had a little DJ playing some music, keeping people occupied. But then she gave away. I know there was a Robbie Krieger and the Soul Savages that was signed. I think there was like an LA Woman vinyl, I believe, that was signed.
Yeah.
A couple John Densmore drumsticks that were autographed.
Hmm.
And Soul Savages was given away, Alley Woman given away, and then the DJ was like walking around on the stage with John Densmore's autographed drumsticks. Walks over and she's like, I saw you out front. You've been here all day. And she reaches out and hands me both drumsticks
Nice.
autographed by John Densmore. So
Yeah.
that moment, that's tough to top. Yeah, if John would have handed the drumsticks to me himself, obviously that would have been way cooler. But still, I possess two drumsticks signed by John Densmore. And out of well, not just the five shows at the Whiskey, but also at the Greek,
Yeah.
the only show that John Densmore showed up to was that LA Woman show. And he played Riders on the Storm and he played Wasp, Texas Radio on the Big Beat. And so that one, it's definitely up there. But the one like you kind of hinted at, mentioned at the Greek,
Yeah.
that was special in a different type of way because of the guests that he had there.
Yeah. It was interesting because I got to see them all huddled up backstage beforehand. We did the tour and all, and I met Robbie, signed the guitar, chatted with him for a while. We got to eat, seeing all these people huddled around. I got to talk to Ty Dennis a little bit. And it was cool because they were fans also. It was weird. My girlfriend and I see, because we saw it from a different perspective. And that's why it was interesting. People on like YouTube or whatever who posted videos from the Greek, the stage is in front of them. We were on the side. So listening to it from the side was it was strange. And I remember for some of the songs, the guests who had already played on stage or who were going to, they had their phones out and stuff. They're taking videos. It's like they were fans also because they knew it was a special occasion. And it amazed me. You know, Rob, you was 79 last October. You just turned 80. And, you know, I, I probably saw the set list before anyone did because I was given one. And it was a
Yep.
long set list. And except for two or three songs, Robbie played on all of them. I mean,
Yep.
he had stamina. Yeah, I still can't believe that happened. You know, I've been thinking about it. How many people must have entered that contest? And I just made the donations. It was for a good cause.
Oh,
I
for
think,
sure.
yeah,
I
it might,
donated a couple different times trying to get more entries into the drawing. But
yeah,
even at that time, I knew what the contest included. And I'm like, well, I already have tickets to the concert. It's like I already have my flight. I
yeah,
already have my
yeah.
hotel. It's just like I don't know if I would have just got reimbursed for that or what they would have done, but it's like I was already planning on going anyway, and I already had booked pretty much everything. So,
Good
but
question.
knowing
Yeah,
that, Billy Idol and Perry Farrell, that was an odd combination, but he behaved himself.
yes,
But
yes, he did.
Derek Whibley from Sum 41 and Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses, and the list goes on. Kevin from Candlebox. So, like I said, the show at the Greek on October 30th was special in its own kind of way, just because of the variety of people that came there to support Robbie, and obviously playing Morrison Hotel in its entirety, and we discovered at a later date why the Morrison Hotel wasn't included in the whiskey shows, because they had something bigger and better planned
Okay.
for that one. So those were the two that were specific to the Doors and the Doors music. But
Yeah.
I also saw Robbie Krieger perform at the Billy Gibbons birthday
Yes.
jam at the Troubadour.
Cool.
Uh, December 19th was the show that I went to, because Billy Gibbons did that December 18, 19, 20. Special guests on the first night. Orianti was there the first night, and what Kingfish, I think was I don't not familiar with who that person is, but Robbie was a special guest on the 19th.
Yeah.
So I had heard about these shows before, maybe even before they went on sale or just as they had gone on sale, because all three shows sold out very fast.
I'm
Third
sure.
night, Joe Bonamassa was a special guest. So I think that one sold out first. But, I got my ticket. And once again, I got there 4 or 5 hours early, and I was right there, literally touching the stage. And, at one point, it looked like Billy Gibbons was reaching out to hand me a pick. So, like, literally so close I could reach out and touch him. And
Yeah.
and when Robbie came out, he did uh, a 4 song set, and he did Backdoor Man, which he sang lead vocals on that,
Oh, wow.
which we know, Robbie, well, especially from what, 65 to 71, Robbie only sang lead vocals on one song. Can you name it?
Uh, the mosquito.
Running Blues.
Well,
Mosquito was after Jim. That was on either Other Voices or Full
oh,
Circle. But so yeah, Robbie sang lead vocals on Backdoor Man, and
yeah.
then Dennis Quaid came out and he sang. I guess he sang vocals on Roadhouse Blues. Then they did Riders on the Storm, with Ed Roth came out and played for that, and then LA Woman. But even after Robbie did his 4 song Doors set,
Yeah.
he came back out when Billy came out, or a couple songs into after Billy came out, and it was just a birthday jam. And they would play a song. They did LaGrange and Tosh, and Sharp Dressed Man, and they would get into the main part of the song, and then Billy would just point at someone, and that was the cue. Well, it's your turn for a solo.
Oh,
So they would go around, it's your turn, it's your turn, it's your turn. And, Robbie had a couple turns out there. And I don't know if it was like 100% improvised or if he had planned something ahead of time, but, he definitely, he was a little bit out of his element perhaps, but he hung in there and, that was a good show as well. So, but those two, the LA Woman show and the Greek, those are definitely two of the top ones of the year. So these next few shows coming up are gonna be some good ones as well.
now I'm curious. I had to get to the Greek early for the backstage tour and meet Robbie and all that. How that night? How early before the show did you get to the Greek?
Well, right before we went to the Greek, we went to the Ennis house on Glendower.
Okay.
Jim had done a photo shoot with, I believe it was Paul Ferreira, maybe 18 or April 1969 is what pops into my head. The photos up against kind of the block wall. There was a
Yeah.
black lab in some of the photos.
Yeah.
Um, so we went there and lined up a lot of those photos uh, and recreate. Stand where Jim was standing, pose how Jim was posing. And we had gotten to the Glendower Avenue at the Ennis house a little bit before sundown. So we got there 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
4:30. We probably got to the Greek Theater 5 o'clock or 5:30, and it was just after dark when we had gotten there. And we walked
Yeah.
uh
So,
basically from it was only about a mile and it was mostly downhill and then it was uphill again, but yeah, being that we had reserved seats,
yeah.
I wasn't too worried about getting there super early, like at the Whiskey where it's general admission and it's first come first serve.
Yeah. Because I remember after we had done the backstage pass and Eden, then we texted each other because you were there. And then you came up to the stage. We took a few pics and talked a bit. So at the Greek, where you were sitting, how far were you from the stage?
I was in It was either the fifth or sixth row.
Okay.
Because they had the pit area, which, when I was watching other concerts online at the Greek Theater,
Yeah.
sometimes the pit area would be general admission, standing room only. Other concerts, they had chairs, folding chairs in the pit area. So,
Okay.
uh, what pops into, well, it started with A, first row was A, but I don't think it went every single letter because I
Oh,
think I might have been in row GG perhaps,
all right.
but I remember it was the fifth or sixth row that they had it lined up, and it was pretty much straight on.
I see. Now, I'm curious from where you were sitting. Did you see my girlfriend and I sitting all alone on these two metal chairs on the side of the stage? I mean, I saw a YouTube video with us. That must have looked so weird to the people in the crowd. Like, why do they get to sit up there?
Yeah, yeah.
Who's
Well, I'm
they?
sure a lot of people were wondering. It's like, who do these people know? And it's like, how did they get up there? But I'm sure every time, I panned over, to Ed Roth,
Yeah. Yeah.
you were probably in the background of all of those videos.
Yeah,
Um,
I was behind Ed and a little to the side of Ty. Yeah.
yep, yep. So when Harry Farrell and well, I think basically the majority of the vocalists were, considered to be stage right. When you're standing on the stage and you're looking out at the
Yeah.
crowd, right, stage right.
Yeah.
The microphone was on that side of the stage, so even when I was zooming in on, whether it was Perry Farrell or Derek
Yeah.
Whibley, when I was zooming on, you were probably in the background of there. So you could probably go through because I did record full concert footage. I did a trip form as well. I recorded them as well.
Yeah. They were
Um, but so I recorded and then I uploaded full concert footage.
okay.
But I'm still kind of in the process of uploading each song individually because each song is unique because of the special guest that was involved, with each individual song. I know
Now, yeah.
Greg Gonzalez from Cigarettes After Sex,
Yeah.
he sang, I think, like 5 or 6 songs.
A couple. Now I'm curious. I had posted about this. I'm not sure if it was a technical issue or just because we were on the side of the stage. When Perry Farrell was singing, we could barely hear him. From where you were sitting, did he come across loud and clear?
Yeah, for the most part,
Yeah.
I think that might have been a little bit with his microphone placement and how far it was away from his mouth because it seems like he was moving the microphone around a lot
Okay.
and
All
you
right.
know so yeah, it was, but overall, that one was pretty good, but I'm definitely looking forward to the shows that are coming up this year.
Oh no, I'm sure you're. And just curious, before we start to wrap up now, the surviving members, Robbie and John, have you ever had the chance to actually talk to them?
Not specifically to Rot. There was an interaction, a couple times at the whiskey in April.
Yeah.
Um, one of the times was after they had just gotten done with the first set. Um, I had a Sharpie ready. I
Mhm.
had my LA Woman album cover ready.
Yeah.
And I basically held my arms up and passed up the Sharpie and the LA Woman cover to him. And
Yeah.
then, I asked, I'm like, make it out to Ross, make it out to Ross. And he's like, what? What? He had everything coming from
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
monitors on the stage. And so there was a short little interaction there that I was, trying to get a more personalized autograph, with my name on it, which he got
Exactly. Yeah.
ROS and then a scribble that kind of looks like an S, but I'm not going to complain. So there was
Yeah.
that one little interaction. And at same night, he was up talking on the stage, talking about, the song that he played that got him into the Doors. And I yelled out Moonlight Drive, and he heard me, he pointed at me. But as far as being in a setting where we could actually talk and have a conversation,
Mm.
haven't gotten to that point yet. But
Yeah.
we have, what is it, four? Because February 27th,
Yeah.
Robbie is playing at the Grove of Anaheim, with Trip Form is opening for that one as well.
Okay.
Um, that one, I got into the waiting room 15 minutes before tickets went on sale, and I am front row,
Ooh,
numero uno, and I am the third to the left of center.
nice.
And those two seats are still available, Michael. in that front row. It's like, who wants to sit by me in Anaheim? Come on, they're still on there.
Oh, but
Um,
dude,
so
some
so
of
there.
us have to work, man. I mean, I wish I could globe trot like you. I mean, no, seriously, for that trip to LA for the Greek theater, I had to take 3 days off of school, and that wasn't planned because I only got the email that I won it. Was it 7 or 8 days before it? I thought it was
Oh.
spam. I thought it was a joke. I saw it during the break at school. Check on my emails and congratulations, Michael, you've won. We'll give you the details. I called the number because I figured it's got to be a joke, and it turned out it wasn't. But I had to take yeah, time off for that. But now, one point you made that you wanted something personalized signed. That's one thing I liked, not just getting to meet Robbie, but and getting to sign Gibson SG, of course. But it's the only item that I have that's personalized to me by a Doors member. Because I have such a large collection. I must have 10 to 12 signatures each of Ray, Robbie, and John. Photos, books, whatever from auctions. But this one, like when Robbie was about to sign it, Robbie's manager, Tom Vittorino, was there. He said, Michael, how do you want Robbie to sign it? I said, if you could just put thanks, Michael, Robbie Krieger. I just wanted my name on it. And I,
Yep. Oh,
and I
absolutely.
yeah, and I took the video of it, so that was cool. It was
Well,
the
I'm
event.
hoping at one of these shows
Yeah,
that I can get an autograph again from Robbie,
yeah,
because I have this right arm here that has a whole lot of nothing on it versus I have
yeah.
this over here.
Ah,
So I would like him to sign my arm, something like just light my fire, Robbie
yeah.
Krieger. And then my tattoo artist would create some flames and fire around it and do some things. So February 27th, Grove of Anaheim. I think that stage is a little bit higher, so there's not much of a chance there. But after February 27th is March 28th, which
Yeah,
is Robbie's belated birthday celebration
yeah.
at the Whiskey. So there's another chance for you to go inside the Whiskey, Michael.
Oh,
And
that
then, if you
happened.
can't
Yeah.
make it March 28th, back again at the Whiskey on April 29th is the London Fog album being played in its entirety.
Yeah, but correct me if
April,
I'm wrong. For the whiskey show, those tickets they gotta be gone by now.
I haven't checked recently, um, but surprisingly, they don't go as fast as you would think.
Hmm. You know, one.
Especially being a super small venue. They only hold like 500 people in there, something like that. So
Okay.
there's probably still tickets available for one or both of those shows.
Yeah,
March 28th is a tough one for me because even before he announced his birthday celebration,
yeah,
I had purchased tickets in meet and greet for Black Label Society
yeah.
with Zach Wild
Oh wow.
in Madison, Wisconsin on March 27th.
Oh,
So what I'm going to have to do is in Madison, Wisconsin is about a 3.5 hour drive from where I live. So I'm going to have to drive to the concert, do the meet and greets. I'm going to have to drive home immediately after the concert.
yeah.
Maybe I'll have time to stop at home. Otherwise, I'm just going to have directly to the Minneapolis St. Paul airport
Wow.
and fly out to Los Angeles at, I think the flight I was looking at is like 7:45 in the morning Central Time, getting to Los Angeles like 9:45 Pacific Time, and then basically going to the Whiskey, checking into my hotel,
Jeez.
and then flying home on the 29th. So it's just like that's what I did for the Jim Morrison birthday celebration at the Whiskey on December
Yeah.
8th. I flew out on December 8th and I flew home on December 9th.
I gotta
So
ask, because I never have. Have you ever flown first class?
I have not. My
Oh,
wife
good
Heather
deal.
has flown first class one time, and they always say that once you fly first class, you'll never fly anything else again. I'm just like,
Oh,
well,
oh,
if you financially can't afford it every single time, but you get it that one, it's just like, but no, I've never really seen that necessary. You know what? You get free drinks. I don't drink, so that really doesn't benefit me a whole lot. You might get a little extra
yeah.
leg room, or I don't know. I'll just save my money. I'll just fly in the back with the rest of the peasants and
Yeah, like
save
me.
my money for
Now I'm
food.
curious.
Or
Now I'm curious. The deadline's coming up in a couple of days, the 5th or the 6th. I don't know if you're aware of it, if you saw it on Instagram. There's another charity that John's doing a contest with. The winning bidder gets to have lunch with them in
I
LA.
saw.
Yeah. I mean, I'm toying with the idea of bidding on it. The thing is, financially, it would be harder because with the contest at the Greek, I got everything paid for. But
Yeah.
if I do that, if if the gods intervened and I won again, I'd have to pay airfare and everything. Then I'd have to find out because he gets to pick the restaurant. I guess where is he gonna pick it? You gotta get a hotel close to there. That'd be cool to do it, but I just don't know financially how feasible it is.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know. It didn't seem like that was a contest where it's like donate and they
No,
draw a random person. To me,
no,
it
no.
almost seemed like the biggest whoever donates the most
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
winner.
yeah. This one's different than the Fan Diem one at the Greek Theater. My understanding is this literally goes to the highest bidder. So if someone's desperate enough to have lunch with John, they bid like 25 grand and win it, they get it. That's my
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah, that's not worth it to me. It's just like I'll take my chances that, maybe I would think John would be at Robbie's birthday bash, but then again, I thought he was going to be at the Greek. But I also heard that his mother-in-law died, which took him out of town.
Oh,
Um, but there's a good chance John could be at Robbie's birthday bash in March. He could be there April 29th for the London Fog, show. And the London Fog show April 29th, and I believe it's April 24th. Robbie Krieger and the Soul Savages are playing at Tuscany Suites in Las Vegas. So my
uh,
wife Heather and I will be in Las Vegas April 23 to 26, Thursday to Sunday. I'll come home on the 26th, and then I'm going to fly out on the 28th to the whiskey.
yeah, we definitely have to meet up in LA sometime. And you gotta do Paris because I had wanted to go there in July. Oh, excuse me, for such a long time. I said this year, the 55th anniversary, no excuses. We booked the hotel and the flights early, got our passports renewed, and I'm coordinating with people, from our Facebook group because you got a bunch of them, like Paul Neild and some of these others,
Yeah.
Michelle Campbell, who go there literally every year and they know all the sites and all. But
Yeah,
no,
I think there's going to be too many people there for my vision of visiting. I
yeah,
want to go there on a random day where there's very little to no people there because I want to jump the fence and I want to get a picture right by his gravesite.
yeah. The only other time I was there, I was working for a week in Santa Monica in what was it, 2012. Then I went to Nice. I had a friend who had a place in Nice, and I got to see the gravesite. It was in August actually, and there weren't a lot of people there, so I know what you mean. But
Yeah.
there's just something I have to do. But yeah, I mean, we can go on all night about this, but you've already seen so many sites. You're planning others, and you got to get that book out. When it comes out, I want a signed copy, and I'm going to use it. Unfortunately in LA in October, we only got to speak briefly. Everything was so rushed, but it was cool to meet you before the show. That whole experience was so surreal, but we're definitely going to get together again. You ever come to New York, my neck of the woods, got some door sites out here. We'll keep in touch. And if I know I'm going to LA this year, if you're going, you'll definitely we'll meet up.
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you the Doors tour because my vision,
Yeah,
because uh if you don't have a plan, well, how's the saying go? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So
yeah. No,
with
you're
the
right. You're right. Like I said, for the Greek, just we only had 20 and a half hours from when we got to the hotel to when we had to leave for the Greek. And without a
Yeah.
car, they just, it was limited. But no,
Oh,
considering, with the scooters and all, you would deter me. So I'm willing to bet you've seen more doors related sites than most people have.
I after this last year, I would definitely say so. Because the list is, like I said, it's right around 101, maybe 102.
Wow.
And basically the book is centered around, my experience, mainly in April, because April is when we visited 92 locations. Came back, visited one more that I learned about in September.
Yeah.
Uh, Three more new ones in October, along with the Ennis House. So basically, in the writing process, I'm probably about 30% done with the writing. And basically, it's going through the locations that I have visited,
Okay.
and I probably will add, you know, a few that I didn't visit. Some of the significant ones, like I mentioned, Morrison Hotel, the Hard Rock Cafe. When they did the photo shoot for, the Morrison Hotel album. Um, because with that guide, people like in your situation, when you didn't have a whole lot of time, well,
Yeah.
now you have this guide of doors
Yeah.
locations, and I'm going to arrange it strategically so you can literally get to these in a matter of one day, you know,
Exactly.
and down the road, if and when the book becomes successful, my vision um is to give tours out there, because you mentioned you went on a tour when you were out there, and yeah, there's all these different tours out there, but what is not out there is a tour that's specific to Doors locations
Yeah.
only.
The only time I've ever heard of someone doing that, and I didn't get to attend it, but in the beginning of the century, I think it was 2002 when they had Doors Fest. Kerry Humphreys, who used to have the Doors Collectors Magazine site, during Doors Fest, I think he organized his own tour. But other than that, yeah, I have not heard of someone who specifically was offering doors tours. Just super quickly, during your uh, travels, did you go to where the Aquarius Theater was?
Yep, I went to the Aquarius, also known as the Kaleidoscope, the Hullabaloo.
Yeah.
multiple different on Sunset Boulevard right there, which is pretty close to almost right across the street from the Hollywood Palladium.
Okay.
And the Doors with Jim Morrison never played at the Hollywood Palladium, but the Doors trio
Yes.
played at the Hollywood Palladium in November 1974. That was actually their first live show without Jim.
Oh yeah, and then that was in '71, and that was actually posted in my group. Our Doors guru Greg Perulis posted. There's a dude who's got a collection of 8 millimeter footage from this guy who filmed various shows, and there's some footage from that Palladium show that he wants to get converted. Yeah, it was if not the first, one of the very first post Jim shows. So apparently there's
Yeah, no,
some
yeah,
foot.
November 1971, and
Yeah.
like I said, the Hollywood Palladium is almost right across the street from
Okay.
the Aquarius, and currently it is painted in all the bright psychedelic colors
Oh wow.
that it may have been when the Doors played there, I believe July 21st, 1969. 21st and 22nd, I think it might have been. They recorded a lot of that for Absolute Live,
Yeah.
but then also did some at the Doors studio, if I remember correctly. But yeah, at the Aquarius right there, there's actually a lot of Doors locations
Yeah.
on Santa Monica Boulevard. Going back to the World Pacific recording studios where the Doors recorded their first six-song demo September 2nd, 1965, and that was even before Robbie Krieger joined the band. Ray's brothers, Jim and Rick, were still in the band at that time.
Yeah. Man knows his dates. Yeah, I got to meet Ray's brother once. I saw Ray and Robbie at the Nokia Theater about maybe 13, 14 years ago. His brother was there. But yeah, no, it's amazing you've seen all the sights, and yeah, it's just a great episode. We look forward to the book. Yeah, please keep posting in my Facebook group. We're honored and privileged to have you as a member. And before I do my closing spiel, why don't you tell people how they can contact you? I know you have your YouTube channel. Why don't you tell people about that? So if they want to reach out to you, maybe they think they found a door site you haven't mentioned, how can they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me. Instagram is a tie-dyed traveling guy. You can kind of see it on my shirt here.
Yep, great show.
TYEDYED traveling guy, tie-dyed traveling guy on Instagram, same on YouTube as well, tie-dyed traveling guy. And you can even search me on Facebook under Ross Seifert, Seiffert. Facebook is what I use the most. So if you send me Facebook Messenger, I'll definitely get that. Instagram as well.
Cool.
I am not a TikToker or a snapper, so you will not
Snapper.
find me there. But uh, but yeah, between YouTube, you can always comment on there, or Instagram or Facebook is where you'll find me. Stay tuned to that book, the ultimate guide to Doors locations in Los Angeles. Like I said, I'm about 30% done with the commentary, the text part of it. And then it's a matter of getting photos and then, citing, all those citations that you need to do. Basically, it's the Doors app, it's John's book, Ray's book, Robbie's book, and even a little bit out of the Doors movie that was factual, the few things, but
Only a few.
hopefully I can get that. I don't know. This is my first time writing a book. I have absolutely no knowledge to publishing it, getting it out. So if anyone has any information, please reach out to me,
Sure.
because I really have no clue on how to do that, where to do that. But I see this book of Doors locations being published in multiple languages because we know there are Doors fans around the entire world.
Of course.
And anyone that goes to visit Los Angeles that's a Doors fan, they're going to
Sure.
want to go to some of these locations depending on how much time they have. Is going to depend on, how many locations that they get to. But I'm hoping to get that out later this year. Any help with publishing, distribution, like really the entire process in general, please reach out. Um, I'm trying to talk my wife Heather into physically doing Doors tours out there with a nice conversion van, open air van.
That's
But
great.
she's like, "Well, what am I gonna do?" I'm like, "Well, you can come with. Someone needs to drive the van."
It's a
But
great idea.
yep, absolutely. She can drive the van, I can do all the talking, and it's a good partnership. But I appreciate you having me on here, Michael. I always love talking about the Doors. I don't get to do
Sure.
that very much here.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you do for the Facebook group and everything going forward. So stay tuned. There's a lot more coming.
Excellent. And one thing, and I'll even suggest this to my buddy Bradley Netherton. I'm going to give a shout out to him in my closing spiel. He's in his Opening the Doors podcast series. He's already interviewed at least one or two individuals who put out Doors books. Once the book's actually out, I'll suggest to Brad that he have you on his podcast. So that would be cool. Share the wealth a little bit.
Much
Now books,
appreciated.
yeah, book's gonna be great. And yeah, I think this was my longest episode ever, and it could have gone on a lot longer. I could listen to these stories all night, but
Oh, for sure.
yeah, no, definitely. It beats thinking about paying the bills and stuff, but it's a distraction in the end. It's a love, it's a passion. But I do want to thank my special guest, Ross Seifert, for sharing stories about his early life, you know, playing football, getting into music, and then becoming a Doors globetrotter. Some of us, like me, dream of not having to work and just going and checking out all these sites and all. And most of us don't get the chance, but Ross is doing it. He's living the dream. When his book comes out, we're all going to profit from it so we can organize tours ourselves. So to conclude, I am your host, Michael Pappaceno, and this is the latest episode in my series Doors Chat, the premise of which is to talk to members not only about the Doors, but about their lives leading up to the Doors, what got them into this incredible band we all love. I am the administrator of the Facebook group, The Doors Unendurable Pleasure Prolonged. That name comes from a quote by the great Crawdaddy writer Chris Weintraub back in 67, describing the Doors in their heyday. It just stuck, so I used it. Shout out to my buddy Bradley Netherton, who's my moderator, who helps me out there big time. The group has grown. I took it over about 7 years ago. We had a little over 200 members. We have over 3,300 now. Not the biggest group doors wise by any means, but we got a nice eclectic mix. We have serious diehard collectors, casual collectors, just fans who love the band, and one dude who seems to have nothing else to do than fly to LA and check out all these sites and not work and do things that peasants like me have to. But we have a nice mixture in the group. You could check it out. The Doors, Unendurable Pleasure Prolonged. If you want to join, just just write me and ask me. And as long as you're a nice person, you get in. If anyone wants to be a guest on a future episode, the rules are simple. Just be a nice person, be a Doors fan. It's not complicated. I want to hear your life story. Trust me, you're more interesting than I am. You may not be as interesting as Ross, but you're more interesting than I am. And this was a privilege. And I'll try to drop this episode in a couple of days. Thanks again to Ross Seifert. You take care of yourself, buddy.
Will do. Thanks again, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.